Welcome back to another episode of the AP podcast. Today we're with Braden. We're finally have some sports going on, which is really fun. NFL's got some rumors. NBA is finally actually playing some preseason games. So I'm just excited to have sports back in general. It's been so boring. I mean, summers usually are boring, but to not have the finals or anything, it's just nice to have a little taste.
Yeah, definitely nice to get everything back. Even the NFL had some news this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's been a solid sports week with scrimmages coming back.
It's been the best one I can't even remember since freaking March 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's facts.
But yeah, it's pretty clear that everybody's still getting the rust off. A lot of guys. But especially for NFL, we have had a lot of news. I guess we just go ahead and get right into that with Jamal Adams trade to Seattle. Seahawks received Jamal Adams and a fourth, and the Jets received 2 firsts, a third, and Bradley McDougald. So, I mean, it's going to be really weird just to not see Jamal Adams in a Jets uniform next year. But up to the point when he was traded, it just seemed inevitable. With all of his antics and stuff from challenging all the GM and the owner and Adam Gase to
I did not like his behavior at all. He
had all this social media antics and he was calling out the organization. It was just getting ugly. Seemed like the relationship was too far gone, couldn't really be salvaged. But when it comes to the trade, in general, I think it's really a win-win for both teams, in my opinion. The Jets won the trade, but obviously Jets fans didn't want to see him leave. But for Seahawks fans, they had a Pro Bowl safety, so that's awesome for them. But the Jets literally got 2 firsts, a third, and a pretty good replacement in McDougald. But I don't really think that any safety is really worth that haul. So I think both sides come out happy. Yeah. Ultimately, you never really want to trade your franchise's best player, but now New York has, I think it's 4 first-round picks the next 2 years. So there's still a lot to look forward to if you're a Jets fan.
Yeah, I would say the Jets in general. This is a guy that I honestly didn't think they'd get close to this much because this is a guy that teams knew that they were going to get rid of.
Yeah, and they gave the bag. So
they gave up a lot. I guess in the Seahawks did, but I guess I like to trade for win now with Seattle. But the only issue, or at least my only issue with Seattle, Russ has been pretty durable throughout his career. He hasn't really had a ton of injuries. So we just got to see, I guess that'll take a toll on him at all this year, kind of what the deal is with coronavirus. Because if players start to get, the virus, and the Seahawks happen to get it pretty bad, they don't have any sort of future set up now, at least in the first round. Health in general would be a big concern with this trade, but I could see it as a win-win if everyone stays healthy on the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Right now I'm slightly more favored towards the Jets winning this one.
I'm just Russ, I don't want to say he's on the back end of his prime years, but he's getting older, and he just had an MVP-like season, and I'm expecting him to continue playing like that. So I think that this is a really good move by the Seahawks to kind of get the win-now mentality too. Just in general, you give that much for a safety that's only going to help you win now, not exactly long-term in the future. So I'm at first, before honestly, I know Jamal Adams is a great player, but this just kind of shows where the Seahawks are at. Yeah. And they valued, instead of giving Clowney, they got Jamal Adams. So I think it's a decent trade-off.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure about this, but I didn't think the Jets really had much intent to trade Adams unless something blew them away. And this trade, you can't really ask for much more than what they got in return. But for the Seahawks, like you were talking about, Russell Wilson is 31, Bobby Wagner's 30, Clowney's out the door. They got 2 first-round picks are gone, a third's gone. So they don't really have a lot of time to win. So I think the time is now for them. So like you said, a lot of uncertainty with the whole virus thing. But if they can really everyone can stay healthy, I think it'll be good for them.
Yeah. One thing I guess about the Seahawks, I guess we could just add really fast would be that they still have kind of a hole, I guess, on defense. They definitely boosted the secondary, but I know Jamal Adams blitzes occasionally, but their defensive line, I guess, wasn't stellar last year.
They don't have a lot of pass rushing at all.
So it'll be interesting to see. They definitely Shaquille Griffin's solid. Obviously, Jamal Adams is incredible, but
Bobby
it's
Wagner.
hard to. I mean, no, honestly, Bobby Wagner had one of the worst pass coverage ratings last season or something.
Pass coverage.
Yeah,
well, maybe that's what Jamal's. Trying to fill that gap. I don't know. Their defense definitely isn't anywhere close to the Legion of Boom.
They manage to stay in games, though. They always win close games, so I'm not worried about that from a coaching standpoint or Russ. But it'll just be it's really comes down to the playoffs for this team, and if they don't have a pass rush, it's gonna be hard to win games.
I just want Russ to finally get some recognition. I feel like he's so slept on. Like he literally just had an MVP season, and I feel like nobody's talking about him. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. I still remember fantasy football, Peyton. You were trying to trade me Russell Wilson for Josh Allen. I wouldn't.
I just love Josh Allen. I got something about
it. Right, but that's rushing touchdowns from. Well, I guess Russ has his rushing touchdowns.
Russ popped off in the beginning of the year.
He did.
Bro, Josh Allen. I wish I had him.
All right.
Yeah. I'm watching Bills games, and Josh Allen just get collapsed. It's so much fun to watch.
He's a big boy, I'll tell you that. But
he's got an arm too.
Other free agency news: the guy that ended up leaving the Seahawks, Clowney. He's got a couple options, I guess. He said he wanted to go to a contender. I guess a couple teams that have a shot at him that we wanted to mention. The Saints, they would have to move a lot of money around to make sure they get him. The Ravens, they actually added Calais Campbell, so that pass rush would just be incredible. But they do have the money to go out there and get him for a year or two. And then the Titans, I guess, are another suitor. They actually traded Jarrell Casey this offseason in order to free up some space, so they've already made those moves. And they locked up their two, I guess, offensive weapons long-term now with Derrick Henry and Tannehill. So it'll be interesting to see if the Titans can get them. Honestly, that's my pick. I'm sure it's y'all's too. We all live in Tennessee, so that's what we want to see.
Yeah, I definitely think there's it depends on what Clowney's really searching for. Because obviously, if you want to win now, picking between the Titans and the Ravens, especially with Calais Campbell now, I don't know. It's hard to pass up on the Ravens if they do have the money. I could see him going to the Ravens, to be honest.
I feel like the Titans showing that they're going to commit to him by trading.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been there for so long. I feel like that should mean something to him.
And also,
the Titans beat last year. I think they're similar levels. If they get Calais, we get Clowney.
And also Nashville versus Baltimore is another big thing too about where he'd rather live. But he's pretty much the last real now that Jamal Adams is out of New York, he's really the last domino to fall in the offseason where he's going to end up. And like y'all were saying, Seattle doesn't after trading for Adams, Seattle can't bring him back. So I really think that all I got to say, I would probably be surprised if he does not end up a Tennessee Titan next year. Really.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong either way if you're Clowney, but
he's expressed multiple times how he's like, I want a ring. I want to win now. I don't think he cares about the money, but I think if you're picking rings or money, he's going to pick the rings. So honestly, I don't know. I used to think it was just the Titans basically with the front runners, but it's kind of close for me now. Now that I think about it, especially the Ravens do have the money.
Just add them to that Titans defense. It's just so
I
nice.
think you're really discounting the Titans. We've watched a lot of Titans games over.
I know, but at the same time,
this last season, AFC Championship is pretty impressive.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying in general, having the MVP and they just got a pass rushing guy in Calais Campbell. They've had a great defense. The Titans arguably have a better defense, to be honest. But
ours is just trying to ride Lamar now.
I'm going to DM Lamar and ask him what's up. Be like, hey, you guys got Clowney yet? You talked to him?
Yeah, I just think it makes so much sense, especially after trading away Jarrell Casey. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah.
It would really make the defense so nice in Tennessee. I think it's really going to happen any day now. But obviously, he needs to take his pass his physical, go through all the COVID-19 2-test protocol type stuff before that can all happen. But I really think he'll be a Titan next year.
Yeah, and I'd love for him to be a Titan. I'd rather him be a Titan than a Raven. I'll tell you that.
I get that. Now, I guess next up we're gonna move on to a guy that's, of course, with the Titans once again, but is also very familiar with Baltimore after this last.
Oh, Beautiful.
And we got Derrick Henry, who just got paid, and so
Yep.
this contract goes up to $50 million, counting all the incentives or whatever. Really, the part that matters is a $25.5 million guaranteed.
Mhm.
Of course, it's not a small deal for a running back, but I mean, he's one of the premier guys in the league, if not. I mean, you could honestly make an argument that he's the best. I'm not saying he is, but there's an argument there. I mean, he really carried the Titans throughout the playoffs this year. I mean, I think it's deserved. But with the
Definitely.
running back's shelf life, you guys think this
That's
contract?
I think that's a big thing. A guy like Derrick Henry really he's a power running back. He's getting hit every play. He's getting hit hard. It takes like 2 or 3 guys to tackle him, it seems like. So I really think that's going to wear on his body a lot, and that could lead to injury, but obviously knock on wood. But like his production for us was just so nice. Like we were talking about, he was that guy for us, AFC Championship. We all know the history. And he's come out and said he wants to be a Titan for the rest of his career. He loves the organization, loves the team, loves everybody, the fans in the city. So as a Titans fan, that's great to hear. But the only thing I'm worried about is just him staying healthy, especially with the type of running back that he is.
Yeah, I kind of I want to make this comparison but like I kind of see him as Kawhi Leonard. Maybe he's going to sit a couple regular season games, load manage. But he is probably, other than a quarterback, the most valuable player to have in the playoffs for anybody. I mean, what he did, he won a game with Ryan Tannehill, had 83 yards, and he won a game in the playoffs, like against the Ravens. Like everything he's shown is that he is almost a necessity for the Titans. And like they wouldn't have won a game without Derrick Henry. I mean,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but they wouldn't have.
That's true.
So Derrick Henry I think he got the short end of the stick when it comes to money. But when you're talking about situation, he's in the best situation he can be in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with he's the best player that could win you a game, because I feel like
Offensively,
okay,
I should have said offensively.
defensively the Titans definitely stepped up that
Yeah.
game.
Mm-hmm.
I would say with Derrick Henry's height especially, I know we've seen it with Gronk in the past. Guys will just go after their knees, ankles, and
I mean, I feel like they would have learned that by now, though.
It just takes one play, though.
It takes one
True.
hit, one helmet to the ankle, to the knee. He's been durable throughout his career to a degree so far. I think it'd be nice to see a second running back in the rotation.
Well, we did draft one, Darrington Evans.
So that would be nice.
So that can hopefully pan out.
I'm expecting some early play for him, especially with Derrick being the playoff guy he is.
I would say what the Titans did last year is, outside of losing those games early on, is what they should do again this year. They didn't really play Derrick too much in those first 5 or 6 games, but as it got closer to playoff time, they just fed him more and more.
Yeah, we were still experimenting with Mariota too. So
yeah, it should be good to see a full season of Tannehill too. That should
especially
be,
after we just gave him the bag. So,
but I think the Titans in general this year, I mean, this is the first time it's really been exciting going into a new season. Hopefully not.
We're still going 9-7. Like,
yeah,
it's a given.
9-7 tends to happen pretty often, but maybe they can break the streak, go 10-6. I mean, there's hope this year, though.
There is more than usual. I mean, honestly, the Titans had one of the most enjoyable to watch seasons I've ever witnessed. They went from no hope to an AFC Championship, which is
were we 2-4?
Yeah, from
Mariota.
From an entertainment perspective, that was just so awesome to watch Tannehill come in and then Derrick carry us through the playoffs. I loved it. I thought it was
awesome. Definitely not going to forget that season.
Yeah, one of the best for any football teams ever. Great. I loved it.
Great. It is a good story too. But yeah, moving